I was so grateful that I was always telling her how much I love her, how much she meant to me. I would just later always call her and say, oh, sis, thank you. Thank you for the gifts of you in my life. Thank you. Because I knew for a fact that God sent her into my life for a reason. Like, it wasn't a coincidence that I met her, because she was just really such an angel. It's just so painful that sometimes the good people leave the head so fast. Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Isaac-Imagbedion, me Makinde, and on this channel I talk about anything that is related to faith, lifestyle and personal development. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, ooh, you're the real OG. Thank you for coming back. And if you're just watching me for the first time, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Please do well to click on the subscribe button and you're welcome to our family.
Now, if you want to make bigger money, solve bigger problems.
Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing?
I'm going to be speaking on a very vulnerable subject, which is grieving. So my previous welcome back to YouTube video, I mentioned that one of the reasons why I took a break from YouTube last year was because I was grieving. I want to take you guys into the back end of what happened in my life in 2025. Yeah, we'll never forget. Nobody talks about grieving as much as it hurts. Yes, grieving hurts so much. And by the way, I am somebody who feels emotion so much, actually melancholy. I've come to realize that I grieve so badly. I'm not good at grieving because I'm this kind of person that it takes a lot for me to get vulnerable with someone. It takes a lot for me to love someone. But when I do it with my own heart. Yeah. So when I finally love someone so much, I'm so vulnerable around them. I see them exactly the same way I see myself. When I love somebody, I trust them. I see them exactly the way I see myself, to be very honest. So it is always quite difficult when the few occasions where I have had the loss of people that meant so much to me. It was like a part of me has been taken away. Exactly. So that is how I felt again last year. The last one that happened a few years ago. Somebody who, interestingly, I met for a very short period of time, but she actually had a very significant impact in my life. Yes, and that was the very first person I lived with aside from my parents. So she was kind of like a guardian, you know, and she was such a sweetheart. She was such a sweet soul. She was an angel on earth. I loved this woman so much. And years after I left, I'd even gotten married. I didn't get married, but years after, so I moved to my own apartment. I stayed with them for just a year. Interestingly, but like I said, it takes so the same way it takes a lot for me to really give my heart to somebody. It's the same way it can be very fast for me to be vulnerable with someone. So that was the case with this person. She was such a sweetheart. You know, she was like an open book, and it was something that I really admired. It was a lot I learned from this woman. And so after a year, I got my own apartment and I was living, alone. And so years later, she passed on. And my God, it was so bad because she was like a mother figure to me. So somebody I loved so much. I love her. I love her children. She's just such an amazing person. And the fact that she wasn't there on my wedding day, because we have always talked about it. I've actually promised myself I'm not going to tear up in this video, even though it's actually going to be an emotional one for me. So we have always talked about my wedding day and all that, but she was not there to see it. I was so grieving that I was so sick I couldn't carry a burial. Yes, it was that bad. I grieved that bad. I grieved so bad, so terribly, and I had not even recovered from that. Interestingly, although it's been years now, it's been about 3 years plus a year, and then my friend's own happened. You see that? So imagine grieving for that long. So this actually made me realize that I don't think one can completely heal from grieving. I think that you just come to the realization of the fact that, okay, they are not coming back. But that pain, that gap, is something that you would continually feel. I want to give you a backstory of the person that I lost, last year. I'm actually sanguine. So, you hear sanguines are people that are friends of all, friends of none, that kind of thing. So I'm this kind of person that I have a very small circle of friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but very few friends. And why is that? The reason is because my standards are quite high. Yeah, so not because I go around with plaques saying, oh, this is my standard, but because I just have so much expectations from people because I'm very hard on myself. So if I am hard on myself in sense of I am somebody who is very, 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 very intentional. So I'm intentional about purpose, I'm intentional about life, I'm intentional about even what I eat, I'm intentional about everything. So if I'm going to be closely knitted with somebody, it has to be somebody that is also intentional. And you would agree with that, not everybody, you have just a very few percentage of people that live, in that reality. Yeah, so for that reason, I have a lot of people that we are good. I don't get enemy, but when it now comes to, so we have the general carcass, and then we have the inner carcass, and we have the inner carcass. So that's it. So this person happened to be my inner carcass. So it's been about a decade, yeah. That I met her. She was such an amazing person. We met in church, and that was it. But we were able to keep up with the relationship, and she was so sweet. And yeah, so she had a daughter. Her daughter is my goddaughter. By the way, shout out to you, baby girl. Your godmother is saying hello. Clock it. So yeah, she's a Gen Z. So yeah. It's our, don't worry, let me not cast our greeting styles. Our relationship grew over time because we had a lot in common. Although she was an extreme extrovert, but myself on the other end, I'm in between. So I can be very introvert and I can also be very extrovert. So she's more extroverted than me. So she was that friend that, if you enter trouble, that got your back, you fight for you, like, let us scatter you. Well, we are not troublesome, yeah, but then so not in the literal sense, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. So she was that kind of friend, like, she always got my back. And interestingly, she's a few years older than me, so I used to like to see her as my big sis, even though she never accepted that. She was like, no, like, no, we're intimates. And I'm like, yeah. So she was such a very sweet soul. Oh God, very sweet soul. And so for us, our relationship grew from being acquaintance, in fact, from being colleagues. Yeah. Okay, is it colleague? We call it from being a team. So we served in Redeemed Christian Church of God, and at the time I was the youth president. So there was a time, so she was the vice president here. So she assisted me. She was the VP too. I think there were two assistants then. So the first assistant was a guy. So she was the second assistant. So that was how we got to meet. And afterwards we became close and all that. So it was service that brought us together, and we continued our relationship. So we moved from being acquaintances to being friends, and then we moved from being friends to be even much more than that. Yeah, so we moved to being sisters, and then we moved from being friends here to being from being friends here to being sisters, then from being sisters to being best friends, and from being best friends to being soul sisters. Yes. So there's that hierarchy here of relationship. So that was it. So she was actually my soul sister. But remember, it did not start in a day. It didn't even start in 2 years. Neither did it start in 3 years. It took years, yeah, for that to happen. We had so much in common because she was somebody of a very high standard as well. She loved God so much. Oh my God, very principled. Yes, my kind of person, very principled. She has very, very healthy boundaries. We just had a lot in common, and that really made us click together. Interestingly, we didn't even see ourselves as much because she lived on the mainland, I lived on the island, and so most of the time it's video calls. But there is no, like, we call ourselves as though as how a boyfriend is calling a girlfriend. So that's how it is. So this house wasn't a barrier for us, even though we're not really seeing in a year, might not more than 2 or 3 times. Interestingly, but you see, there is no week we will not talk together up to like 4 or 5 times, and our talk is not always short, it's always long. So we keep up with everything. Like, she was that person that was my accountability partner. We talked about everything, like absolutely everything. So we're so close, and I've had a best friend before. Shout out to to you. Yourself, yeah, and we're still cool. But as life, as our life used to be. That was when I was much younger. So this particular person was my soul sister as an adult. You see that now. So yeah. So different phases of life, there are actually people that you might be very closely related to. But this one was somebody I met in my full adulthood phase, and yeah, so we stick together. So it was really such a beautiful one. I think I'm actually very blessed, to be very honest, because for every time I reflect on what friendship is like to me, I come to realize that God gave me good friendships. Like, I do not have friends that we had to fall out because of their wayward or they are bad people. No, to be very honest, I do not have those kind of friends. Maybe because I'm quite intentional about the kind of people that I call my friends, but aside from that, God has given me the best of friends. So shout out to every one of you who is in my space. I love you so much, and thank you. You actually answered prayers to me. So back to the story. So this person, I don't remember doing my wedding shopping. We went to do it together. We used to buy clothes together, even though we were living far apart. Like, we bought almost everything together. So when I'm buying something, I buy in pairs. When she's buying something, she buys in pairs. We always talk about our future. My children, our children. We talk about a lot of things. Like, there's nothing we don't talk about. We do literally everything together. Even talking about investment. Like, there's a lot of conversations that we are very open about. Yeah, there's no secret in our midst. But something happened. So I really do not want to go into the details because it's actually family detail. Yeah, but she passed on to glory April. So, and bittersweet thing about the experience was that I was with her in her last moment. Yes. So bittersweet in the sense that I was happy that I was there for her, but bitter in the sense that it was a traumatic experience. I don't know if I want to say what happened, but okay. So it was pregnancy complications. Yeah. So she got married. Funniest part was when I got married, she was my best lady, and when she got married, I was her best lady. Yeah. So she took in, and everything was going fine, and all that. But she had preeclampsia, and I don't want to go into details, and we lost her in April. So seeing the whole process, we were gisting with, she was fine in the hospital. A lot happened. I can't say into the camera, but and that was it. Just like a nightmare, she was gone. My heart is already pounding. She was gone, and it was like the world like just black out. And so imagine that person you always talk to, that person you always do everything with, that person you are on the phone with for hours, is suddenly no more. Imagine that person you do everything together with, you talk about everything with, suddenly is no more. Even in our last moment, that we didn't know it was our last moment, we were still talking about it from them. I was even telling her, okay, yeah, so those are private things. It was not good. It was not good. It was as though as I got a heartbreak. That was how it was, because I started thinking, God, where do I start again? For somebody like me who finds it very difficult to be vulnerable, for someone like me who finds it very difficult to really love that much, because I loved her like my life. I trusted her 100%. Like, I should say that as much as I trusted myself, because she didn't even give me any reason not to trust her. She was somebody that is so reliable. Like, if she says yes, I guess is yes, and no is no. If she tells you this is it, just know that that is it. And then I just started thinking, God, you just robbed me. Like, you robbed me of something so precious to me. My prayer partner, oh God, it was a lot. Like, it was like I was stabbed on my chest. And I started asking myself, when am I going to start again? Like, and a whole lot of things surrounded that death. Messy things, very messy. And yeah, the essence of this video is actually to talk about grieving, and yeah, but I just need to give you guys a background story of what happened. I entered the phase of grieving, but one of the things I would like to say, so I'm looking at my book, I had to write down things I wanted to say so that I would not say too much. The first thing is, one thing I'm so grateful for is the fact that I always blew a trumpet. One of the things I've learned is, so because I told you that I'm not someone that is easily vulnerable, so I had to learn it. And one of the things I learned is give people their flowers. So I like to praise people, I like to blow their trumpets, I like to let them know that they're amazing, and that I like to let people know what I feel about them, how much I love them. And I think when I did all of this, I thank God, like, it was so normal that I used to tell her, oh sis, I love you so much. Like, so we call each other sis, like, so because I do not have an elder sister, and it's one of the things that I wish that I did. So when I eventually met her, so she was that sis I never had. So that made us even much more closer. So she was kind of like that sister, that big sister that I didn't have, or that I lacked. Yes, because I genuinely lacked one. So she filled in that spot perfectly well. It was so beautiful to have her in my space. I was so grateful that I was always telling her how much I love her. I was always telling her how much she meant to me. I just always call her and say, oh sis, thank you. Thank you for the gifts of you in my life. Thank you. Because I knew for a fact that God sent her into my life for a reason. Like, it wasn't a coincidence that I met her, because she was just really such an angel. It's just so painful that, sometimes the good people leave the head so fast. But who are we to question God? God understands better. It's just so unfortunate that wicked people stay longer. And the angels, they pass on to glory faster sometimes. But yeah, when you don't have control over something, you just give thanks to God and you accept fate. So, but I'm thankful to God that I didn't cheat her of the reality. I was always telling her how much she meant to me. I was always telling her how much I started saying how much I'm grateful for the gift of her. I remember that the very week she passed on, there was, I think, there was one particular Mother's Day, and she told me, "Oh, sis, I think maybe it was Women's Day or something." And it was a voice note that I first received that morning. And I woke up, she was like, "Oh God, God knows I really needed you in my life when He sent you to me." And she was just singing my praises and was praying for me. She was so happy. She telling me, "I love you so much." She was telling me, "I love you so much. I am so grateful for the gift of you." Momo, the first one was so long. Even the message, she still sent me a message again. She sent me a message. She posted me on her status. She was, and I think what I replicated, I called her back. I was like, sis, I'm also very grateful for the gift of you. And I just thank God. And, it was so beautiful. Interestingly, there was even I told you that we used to buy things in twos. I still had things that I bought that ours was still in my house. There were things that she bought that mine was still in her house at the point of death. After she died, I couldn't even talk about going to pick them up. Like, how? But I'm grateful that I gave her flowers. I'm grateful, when I heard that, it was actually an emergency case that they had to detain now at the hospital. She just went for normal checkup because it wasn't even time for delivery yet. And so, immediately she called me and said, "Sis, this is the situation of things." So they said, "They're willing me in for surgery." I was like, sorry, how? I was so restless. I wasn't in a meeting at the time. Like, I just lost control and I was just praying. First thing, I didn't sleep that night. Like, the very first thing the next day, I just went to the mainland and I went to meet her in the hospital. I'm grateful that I did that. I'm so grateful that I didn't say, "Oh, work." What's work? I didn't even think of work. Like, very the next morning, I was out. Like, the day did not even break before I left. And I'm so grateful that I didn't know it was the last moment I was going to spend with her. I'm grateful that I did that. I'm grateful that I could spend a few minutes with her or a few hours with her before she passed. I'm grateful we had a lot of beautiful conversations. So this is just me encouraging you that when you love people, let them know. Spend money on the people you love. Spend time with them. Don't just love them with your mouth. Love them with your resources. Love them with your time. Love them with your energy. Give them your all. Don't withhold anything. I'm grateful. It would have been more painful if there was something that you were supposed to do for her that I didn't do. But I'm so grateful I did everything I was supposed to do. I was so loud about her, even though they're quite private person. In fact, a lot of people didn't know I had a best friend. I'm not someone that is very vocal about my private life. A lot of people didn't know I had a best friend. So same way, a lot of people didn't know I was engaged before I got married to my husband. And I was courting for over 2 years, and a lot of people did not know. But my inner caucus obviously knew. So I'm that private person. But the tide changed about a year or 2 years before she passed. I just became very vocal about the fact that I had a best friend, and I'm grateful that I did. Who even knew? Because the normal me would just want to just keep it, as an inside information. But I was just always very proud about her achievements. I'll post it. I'll talk about her. I would, carry a business on my head and do everything I could do. And I'm so grateful that I did that. Our daughter was my daughter. She was obviously my goddaughter, but aside from being my goddaughter, she was my daughter. She was my all. I took her like my own. Like, I'm just so grateful that everything I should have done for her, I did. And so this is me telling you, when it comes to grieving, one of the things that makes grieving hard is when you begin to think of things that you're supposed to do that you did not do. So please, anybody you love, let them know you love them and give them your whole, give them their flowers now that they are alive. I'm grateful that I did that. I'm grateful that I didn't have to regret the fact that there were things I was supposed to do that I did not do. I'm super grateful to God for that. Okay, so the next thing I would like to say is